Alrighty then. Okay, so, hello everybody. This is episode 75 of Shoot the Breeze, a chill interview and a chill time all around for you and me. I am your host, HeavyDivider. Alongside me here today is, well, they are pretty much a very chill individual. As a matter of fact, they are also an RPer, as well as a storyteller. For whatever kind of story they would tell on hand, no matter be it a RP that would be part of the Soul Res RP, or be the upcoming Mythic Guild's return on hand. But my guest for tonight here is Serilda. Welcome, Serilda.
Thank you.
Yeah, be all good. Be all good on hand. So, let's get started with the first question. How the hell did we meet?
Honestly, I think we were formally introduced recently, kind of meeting up during the Soul Res and Mythic RP, but I've known about you kind of like as long as I've been in VRC, but I don't think we've ever had any proper like way to meet or like any coinciding projects with each other.
Yeah. I will say we may have almost crossed paths in Aegis at one point. I will tell you that much.
Yeah, that was the closest time. I think Aegis is where I learned about you.
Yeah. Originally I was there for somebody else on hand, because normally I didn't have the time to be able to be there because I worked in the mornings, so I was just there just to be there,
yeah.
But past that I didn't really do too much in Aegis, so so most of my time was basically with the Mythic Guild, so that's all I did RP wise.
Yeah.
But hey, at least I get a chance to know you more
I'm
now.
working in there now.
Yeah, now I get a chance to know you more too, as time goes by here and there. So, but let me ask you this: Let me ask about your VR chat origins. What got you started in VR chat?
Ooh, I think the primary thing that got me started was I saw a clip. I don't know why I remember this so vividly, but I was taking a math test for, I think, my senior year of high school, and I was on Twitter when probably I shouldn't have been, but I saw a clip from Oblivious. I don't remember what it exactly was for. It just looked super cool. It was people acting, and yeah, I basically just followed up with her on stuff, got into her, like, I believe it's called the Echo Drive now, and kind of worked my way in from there to go to, like, Aegis and the Purple Lotus. But yeah, I'd say a lot of my experiences can be told to that.
I gotcha. Pretty much started from just RP in general, and just now, like, say, like, some of the moments you would see from, like, other VR chat streamers and whatnot. So.
Yeah, and I'd done a lot of like text RP with some of my friends, but I was more than happy to move into a medium like this, just where you can actually visualize a lot more things going on around us.
I got you on hand. Well, I can tell you for the most part, there is going to be a lot more moments as time goes by here and there. Like at this point, it was like, you know, kind of scratching some new, more adventures on hand, be it RP or just, you know, being able to relax and do whatever you want to in general, depending on what you enjoy. So. But
yeah, and
go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, this is just a side note that like.
Yeah, good.
The VRC community is probably one of the fastest growing communities I've seen in a while. It just every day I turn around and there's someone new streaming RPs, which is great because I love seeing everyone's stories, even though I can't participate in all of them.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Like I said, yeah, and like I mentioned, it'll keep. Well, RPs will keep growing no matter what. It's just a slow, steady.
Always.
Yeah, slow, steady hill up the top. There could be a new twist. You never know. It all depends on what happens in the future.
Yeah, with whatever platform comes out and whatever happens with the future of VRC as a game itself, people are always going to RP.
Yep, definitely on hand. So, let me ask about your hobbies on hand besides this game in general. Now, I had to look into it a little bit. I know you play Destiny 2. I know you play Rainbow Six Siege. I had to look a little bit deeper. I know you played Armor 3. But besides those games in general, what other hobbies do you have on hand besides just like those certain games I just kind of named?
Outside of those games and kind of more leaning to real life, I realize this isn't completely separate, but I'm actually going through college to be a game developer. One very small known fact about me is I'm actually a triathlete. I train for triathlons yearly, and I run them whenever I can.
Mm-hmm. I got you. I got you on hand. I will tell you on hand, depending on being a game developer or I will tell you right now too, if you're going into college being a game developer, there's like only two routes on hand. You could be a game designer or you could be a game programmer, depending on which form that you enjoy on hand. Do you love crunching numbers or do you love like texture designing and all that? Like model making and everything.
I'm moving a little bit more towards the like model building, world making. Eventually I'll handle the like numbers crunchings, but for now I kind of just want to make pretty worlds like this one that we're in.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I was kind of curious just to kind of like dive a little bit into that just because I didn't know what direction. Because keep in mind, when they say game developer, they never really specify, okay, which direction. It's like all together, they say.
Game developers painting with broad strokes, yeah.
Very, especially depending on what department you go into. So, be an indie one or AAA company.
Or like a AAA, and there's even things outside of that, like sound developers, certain like Q&A, quality assurance testers, stuff like that. And that's why I like it so much. There's so many ways to explore the medium of it that it doesn't feel confined. But I just love it.
There you go, hand. I will say too, when you mentioned about being a triathlon on hand, are you more of the you're pretty much just kind of like swimming, biking. I don't know if hiking's considered one of them, but
it's mainly running, but it's kind of a matter of three things. Of like, I love doing them. The people you meet there are super nice and like will normally always treat you well. I love staying in shape just because sometimes body image is hard and looking fit kind of does that for me. It helps refer that like I am a good looking person. And thirdly and lastly, which is such a long shot goal, there's a triathlon out there called the Ironman, which is it's kind of the like pinnacle of triathlons. It's super far. It literally goes from like lakes up into mountains. It's super hard, super enduring, but it's kind of one of those things that like when I did my first triathlon, I was like, oh, this is super cool. And then I saw videos of an Ironman, and I was like, I want to do that when I grow up.
I think they have one in the UK.
It's been my goal ever since.
I think they got one in the UK that's a very version of it. It's just, from what I could describe it on hand, UK version is kind of almost very military-like, especially if they're like they literally work your ass for the whole thing. Like you, especially for what they do.
Yeah, no, a lot of triathlons not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
It definitely takes time to like just build up even the stamina to keep going in them.
No, I feel you. I definitely feel you. So, let me ask you this, Ryan. What was the game that basically was your introduction into gaming entirely? Like when you first got into like video games, what was the game that kind of caught your interest first on?
I played a lot of games growing up, kind of with Nintendo, but the biggest one that caught my eye, it's funny because it was released 2 days after my birthday. Destiny 1 for the Xbox 360 was seriously what caught me. Like, something about the world and how the environment interacted with each other, and the gameplay felt great. And admittedly, I was only 14, so it's not like I could really critique what like oh, this minute detail may look out of place, but the rest is great. It was a stunning game, caught me immediately, and I very unfortunately have been playing ever since. now at 21, I can now confidently say that I've got over a year in the combined time of both games, which isn't the bragging point I need it to be, but it's time nonetheless.
I got you. It's interesting just to look at on him when you say it, because it's like when I was growing up, it was like, Pokemon Blue for like the Game Boy Black and White or so. And then it's just kind of like, just looking back and you just realize, damn. It's like, just because to me, I didn't see Destiny 1 as old. And then now that you mention it on hand, it's like, damn.
Right. Yeah, I was 14 when I started that, and now I can legally drink.
Yeah, there you go. I know.
And yeah, no.
No, I feel you. It's just...
It's super... Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're good, you're good. I was just gonna say, it's just like time passes you by on hand, it's just like, damn,
Oh. Especially these past few years, I feel like time has been broken in... You'll blink and not a second will go by, but you'll blink again and you've gone from July to October.
Yeah, there you go. There you go on hand.
Yeah.
So, let me go ahead and get into some interesting topics on here I was going to ask you about. That being, let's talk about the VR chat scene. Now, in this current time of being in VR chat right now, what is your current opinions about the game in general?
Personally, on the game, I like it. I don't really use it outside of RP, so a lot of my focus is like, how optimized do certain maps run, how do these models look, stuff like that. And honestly, even just looking through the worlds, I can see a bunch of people are loving the new Udon engine, which is great to see. I need to learn it so badly, but for right now, I love seeing what everyone else is doing with it. But in terms of like kind of what the developers are doing, haven't really heard much from them recently, or unless I'm seriously missing a few posts. But yeah, I just love it. I love it as a medium. It kind of feels more like an open canvas than an actual game. But sometimes we need that. Yeah,
a little bit of flexibility here, especially if you're a creator or just wanting to relax for the most part.
A creator or just someone coming around, yeah.
There you go. But yeah, and also too, it'll keep growing as well. Like what we have right now is like...
Oh, always.
We'll pale in comparison to like maybe the next year or year after to see exactly what they will be adding into this. So...
It's insane to think. Again, kind of what I was going for earlier about like, oh, I feel like I started in this tiny little group with only a few people, but now it feels like everywhere I turn, there's a new RPer or there's a new world builder, and I love it to no end to see people enjoy something this much. And not to say VRC doesn't have toxicity, but when there is, it normally will get stomped out. Not immediately, but it'll get there.
Over time.
Yeah. I just love how the community can come together sometimes, and it's a little heartwarming to see just how many people love this game.
Mm-hmm. No, I feel you. Especially for when it comes to the form of passion they have of it.
Oh. Yeah, no. Like I said, everywhere you turn, like, even in the worlds we use for RP, or like this world right here even, like, this was so clearly someone's passion project. Like, I find it hard to see worlds that aren't like just bland, boring, no life to them. Even Avatar worlds nowadays just look stunning.
No, I got you. I definitely got you. So, let me ask you about the RP scene. Now, and this current present or so, there's like many RPs that are out there right now, like, well, the ones you and I are both in being the Mythical RP, to the Soul Resonance RP, and then there's some of the big ones out there, like Neon Divide, Fracture Thrones, there's two other ones that popped up on hand that I don't really know too much about them on hand. One of them is
Yeah.
Shinigami's thing, and then there's one from Nanoaid as well. So
Nanoe and Shinigami's no clue what those are, but yeah, no, RPs like Neon Divide, Ascension Academy, Aegis Purple Lotus, I love seeing them. I wish I could participate more, but my anxiety is a killer. But no, I love seeing what those bigger RPs are doing, and even the smaller ones like Mythic, Soul Resonance. I'm currently working on one right now called Entropy, so that'll be fun to start streaming. But it's kind of like talking about VRC as a whole, not only in like, oh, this is clearly someone's passion project, this is clearly something someone put a lot of work into, but also like how we were talking before about how I saw Destiny as you, but Destiny as you, but you didn't. It's so interesting to see like, oh, this person I RP with is 35, and this other person I RP with is just turning 18, or just like turning 16, and it's refreshing yet again to see that like this brings people together, regardless of age, regardless of whatever choices they make through their life, equal choices, that it brings them together, and it's so nice to see people come as a community.
No, I feel you.
Yeah.
No, I got you. And plus, not only that or so, it also just kind of like unlocks more creativeness on hand, depending on what you want to work with or so. Because everybody's got their own different style of RPing, no matter what it is or so. I mean, some is mostly improv, others have got like a very serious tone to it. Other times on hand has like that coordination on hand. And to say that on hand, I was part of I'll give you a story too, because I don't know if you were part of it as well, but the Presso had their own form of RP called Journey into Darkness, I believe, or or something along those lines. And how they coordinate the whole thing is everybody's on a call, and then there's this one person that's kind of giving directions for like each NPC on what they gotta do here and there. So very similar to what happens with like Fractured Thrones, where there's somebody who's basically being the DM, just asking them to do these certain actions here and there. It's a different style of RP as compared to like, we just go on the fly on hand with Mythic Guild and Soul Resonance.
Oh, with Mythic. Oh, Mythic is something else.
Like, we just go on the fly for whatever it is or so. But yeah, everybody's got a different kind of RP style on hand for what it is or so.
Yeah.
Have you experienced any of those RP styles as well? Like any different ones, or like any certain unique ones that you've never been a part of, or well, have been part of but never experienced it for the first time or so?
I in no way want to say like, oh, I'm a veteran, I totally know what I'm doing, but I've definitely seen the forward and back of RPs of like Neon Divide, Aegis are very strict, not in like, oh, the DMs get to control your characters, do whatever they want, yada yada yada, but just more uniform, and then moving like kind of towards like Menagerie Academy and Entropy, where the DMs are working hard keeping the world lore strict, but the players as well can also submit like, hey, I had this idea for this, and like it kind of meshes in between like the admins and the players. While Mythic and Soul Eater are incredibly chaotic, but I don't think I've looked forward to an RP more. Of like, everyone's going all over the place, like Omega and I are making stuff up on the fly, and not to say any version of the RP is better or worse, it's just all how people work, and some work better than others.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody's got their own kind of unique style on hand, no matter what it is or so. It's just kind of like working with it, depending on what it is, so.
Yeah.
But speaking of RPs, let me ask you this. Now, how long have you basically done VR chat RPs, if I can ask?
VR chat RPs, Oh, I hate remembering the beginning, but I want to say I started around 3 years ago, so like
Mhm.
early 2018 era of VRC. I my big start my big start to RP was I had gone to a session of Purple Lotus. I'd seen a few of Oblivious's streams, obviously, she was the one who got me into it.
Mhm.
I went to a session of Purple Lotus, talked to a few people, some who actually became like my sister and a lot of my brothers I talked to in that session, which warms my heart. But the next day, I very, very ignorantly went into the PL Discord and tried to host my own session of Purple Lotus because I had no idea how it worked. It was like my first session.
Mhm.
I just kind of like, I'll try it. And I put a ping out and instantly got a text from like being like, hey, I realize you're new, that's not how it works. I don't think I've apologized more to one person in my life, but May is definitely up there. But after that, I got a text from Spirit Fox and Nox, and we've been working together ever since. It honestly, from that point, has been an absolute joyride, and I would not take a second of it back, highs and low.
Well, there you go. There you go on hand. And reason I ask about
Yeah.
experience on hand is because the question I was going to have on hand is about RP advice on hand. Now, for the amount of experience you've had being for different RPs in general or so, is there any small tips or kind of like certain things for people to keep in mind on hand if they ever try to get into RP for the first time?
Yeah, there are two big ones. Two, maybe three. I'll see how far I get.
I get you.
My biggest one for any RP, doesn't matter what level you're doing it at, doesn't matter how you're doing it, just talk to people. The biggest fight starter I've seen in all my years of doing this has just been miscommunication. It just takes one bad he said she said situation to completely break up a group, and it's heartbreaking, and it sucks not because it happened, but just because it could have been fixed. One good sit down could have resolved the entire issue, but that's not what happened. So my first one is just communicate with people, be nice to each other, and understand where someone else may be coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Another big one, kind of just go with things. Like, obviously if someone triggers a world-ending event in an RP, you don't want to go with that. That's super annoying to deal with, and you shouldn't have to deal with that. But, like, if someone's character like does a complete 180 in their personality and is like, oh, I've been doing this the entire time to like betray you, don't like try and stop RP, don't try and like reason with them out of character, just go with it. This is while this may not be like a $500,000 Hollywood set, we're all acting. We have to act as our characters, and
Yeah.
I just think that's a really kind of good way to go about it, of just like, sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
You're good.
Just kind of going with certain things.
No.
And, I guess my kind of last one would be quote unquote match energies, if that makes sense. Kind of like the first one, of understanding, of just like, alright, I'm in Neon Divide, this is super serious, no time for mucking about, no like goofing off, no getting out of character really, time to be serious and do this. But But in a RP such as like Mythic Guild or Soul Resonance, it's okay every once in a while to like absolutely break down laughing. Because
Yeah.
funny moments will happen. It just depends on the atmosphere and who you're working with.
Yeah. It's always based on the chemistry you have with others, too. Like, especially, be like,
Exactly.
you're starting out brand new, you don't know any people here, but you watch their actions and watch their words and be like, I could probably do something here. Let me go talk to them. And basically, you spin something together on hand here. And that's usually fun because not only that, it actually helps you in the sense of, like, improv, because you can just read the room carefully, choose your moment, and be able to try to form something with a person you may not know too well. But in the end, you get a chance to know them.
Yeah. Yeah, and just talking to people. Like, I believe that VRC is branded as a social game, and I feel like it could be treated as such. It all depends on what people want to do.
Yes. Yeah, it does. Depending on what kind of approach you have on hand and what you want to work with. So there's that.
And sorry, one last thing.
No, go right ahead.
I may have already mentioned this. Just keep an open mind. Don't go into an RP thinking, oh, it's going to go specifically this way. It's only going to go this way. I've like the RP Menagerie Academy, that started off, at least when I joined, it was a school RP. Before that, I believe it was a form of like harem RP or something, but it eventually, at the end of its life, it ended as a full like mercenary RP, and it just helps to have an open mind and go with the flow wherever it does go.
No, I feel you. And it's key sound advice on hand, especially just to be able to, like, not set yourself with high expectations of what you're going to go in with. Just set it with, like, very low, because that way you can just go with the flow of what, be it chaos or order. So. Let me ask you this. Now, I know you stream a little bit here and there. And what I was going to ask you is, for your experience of streaming in general, what is it like to be a streamer on hand? Like, for your experience of it.
Honestly, at times it can be a little stressful, just because, like, especially right now, I don't think I've streamed in upwards of a year due to like COVID and such, but I still haven't streamed.
I got you.
It's stressful not only of like keeping up with statistics and like looking at what games the big people are playing, so like, not that you can piggyback off it, but just so you can get an idea of where the algorithm's going. But I personally find it stressful just because of like, I don't want to let people down. I want to make people as happy as I can. And if they come to my stream and they're not, like, not saying you have to enjoy me 100% of the time, but like, I just worry that I may slip up and say something that I'm not supposed to say. Nothing too heinous, but like, kind of wrong moment, wrong deal type thing. But yeah, I find streaming communities great. I would love to work with like a team of streamers, almost like HoloLive, not specifically them, but like almost like a team of like people who stream together, who can kind of build a community up together, which is why I work with my sister Shanrock. Admittedly, I haven't streamed in a while, but it's just nice to have a community. It can be anywhere from 5 people to 5,000 people. It's still yours. Yeah. It's still what you build in yourself.
And the key thing, too, is that, bear in mind, and I'll tell you this, and I know this seems like the key to success for Twitch is basically stream the bigger top games on hand, because that's what every other bigger streamer is. But in truth, the key to success on hand, especially for Twitch or for anything in general, is 1, have fun with whatever you're doing, because when you have fun with what you're doing, your personality begins to shine. And I can guarantee you, with personality shining, it'll carry you in any other game you enjoy playing. And with that, with that personality shining on hand, usually when people come in or so, they'll be like, this person's having fun, and I'm having fun. Let's go check them out, and just be able to be with you for the longest time, no matter what it is or so. And it is stressful on hand in a sense of like scheduling, or you have like this expectation of trying to carry this, be it whatever schedule it is, be it whatever amount of content you make, or everything in general. And
just staying consistent and stuff.
Consistent, yeah. Usually consistency is like the grinding stone that kind of wears you down sometimes, especially when you're trying to keep up with this kind of time of what you do. And it's okay at times to be able to say, hey, I don't feel like I can stream for the day or so. I'm going to take this time to relax. It's okay to do that. I will say, too, it's also... Just know this for the amount of part... I will tell you this on hand, too. If you ever just want to network with anybody or so, just know it's okay to ever reach out to no matter who it is and ask. Just be like, hey, are you okay with like having a collab or so if you have some free time or so? It could be for anything in the world on hand. It's okay to ask, because the worst thing they could ever do is say no.
Yeah.
And yeah, it may be the most hurtful word in the world, but it's at least to get an answer on hand than getting no answer at all. So.
Yeah. And surprisingly, I'm kind of very socially recluse, so just sitting there by myself playing a game, it can get a little hard, but that's kind of like why I want to work like with more people just streaming games even outside of VRC, just because I feel like it would be more fun to bounce off people than just me sitting alone.
No, I got you. And I understand that too, because that's kind of like the thing with me with like playing, say like Monster Hunter Rise, or playing like certain like social games out there that, playing different games out there that I have with friends. It's usually fun with friends because you get that good chemistry of those around you because you can relate to them, and you know them more for the longest time. I'll need to know exactly what kind of games you play on hand here when I get a chance or so. Maybe there might be something in the future.
Yeah, I personally, I would love to work with you.
Yeah, I would
even just streaming every so often.
Sure, I would love to do that as well. I'd love to work with you as well here. So, speaking of that, and speaking of the advice I had with streaming in general, so I do have a question that's kind of like not within streaming, but within life in general here. With everything you do RP-wise, with everything you do, be it streaming, being, going to college to become a game developer and everything, what is the motivation that keeps you going? Like, what drives you to do the things you will love to do, as well as just kind of like, being able to keep going and just keep your head held up high?
Personally, this is such, like, anime protag, like, just corny stuff, but I just want to make people happy. There's a lot of things going on in the world, and if I have the chance to be a light in one person's life or a million people's lives, I want to do that. I want to make somewhat of a difference, even if it's a difference for 5 minutes. I just love seeing people smile. I love hearing people laugh. That's why I love like Mythic Guild so much, because all we do in there is like have fun, and I love it. And I just want to do that for everyone and anyone I know, and not just like my community who I stream for, but like my friends, like you, Omega, Chaotic, others like Aurora, and my husband Riot. But I just want to make people happy.
Yeah, there you go. It's funny too, because when you say that, because I can tell you on hand, there's a few people out there that are exactly like that. One being Omega Cow, one being Spiral God. And I sense that on hand immediately, because I recognize that for the countless of times of doing Shoot the Breeze, I recognize that phrase, just they want to make people happy. And that is admirable and respectful to look at.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is. So, I've got some different topics on hand that I would like to ask you. I mentioned about the VR chat scene, but let's talk about, especially where we are, currently on hand, but let's talk about the VR chat current present. Let's compare something here. Compared to your first time joining VR chat and just be able to play first time on hand, compare it to all the way to the here and now, being the current present of where we are with VR chat in general. What are some of the things you're glad have been changed over the course of time to where we are now, to some of the things you wish have not changed at all to what leads here?
I can't think of anything that I'm not happy with changing. All the changes have been in an upward motion. Even things like Udon, like the actual game itself developing, I haven't seen much of an issue with. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Some of the things I am happy have changed, is my own model creations. So like just the higher quality stuff coming out of me. So I'm so happy with that, and yeah, I'm just kind of happy like with my own improvements of my personal work, like some of the maps I've done, like some of my models, like you've seen the new OVA model.
Yes, I have.
I'm so proud of those. And yeah, kind of just been proud of those.
Yeah, there you go. There you go on hand. Also, it's definitely going to get better as time goes by, too, especially depending on what they're going to be implementing.
Of course.
So there's that. And speaking of things being implemented on hand, I will ask to go into that following question being, is there anything you're looking forward towards in the future the VR chat may be offering on hand? Because last thing I checked on is they seem to offer elbow and knee tracking from the way it looks.
Yeah, I think elbow and knee tracking is definitely one of the big ones. I'm not sure if this has been implemented yet or this is still in beta, but recently I've seen talk about a new collider system coming in where it's not recognized only from like player to world format, but player to player. So like we could set up it wouldn't be perfect obviously at first, but it's looking like it may be possible to set up weapon colliders. So like instead of just like swinging through each other randomly like what happens with latency and lag within VRC, it may look like we may be able to do colliders from like sword to sword, or like if I want to mess with like Ender's ears, I can reach over and pat her ears like that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm super excited for that. More improvements to the models, more improvements to the game. I love seeing it all.
Not only that, I wouldn't be surprised if it actually begins to mesh or become like weapon to player, where in actuality it'd be like, someone would be able to have like a weapon in their hand, and someone can easily just reach over and just take that weapon out of their hand and just be able to hold it. Seems almost impossible due to like IK, but there could be a possibility.
Right. And again, like, not to say VRC's bad in any way, but the only way to go is up. Unless they insanely royally mess something up, the only way to go is up here. And especially with all the community contributing to it, I don't see any reason it wouldn't just go up. It's stunning what people can do. Just again, even just in the Udon engine, it's stunning what people can pull off. Like, there are full flight worlds now where you can control supersonic jets. Even in a world like this, you can go out and dive into the water and actually like use your arm to swim.
Yeah.
I see no reason for progression like that to stop.
And here's the thing too, which I think the only downside to it, as with progression, is when you progress with what you got, the higher demand of technology to it is going to be required just to kind of get to that stepping stone, or be able to climb over that cliff side to be able to reach it. Which means, because last time we had an update with VR Chat, so it increased the limited usage, like the minimum amount of like requirements on it, and increase that a little bit up just to be able to have VR chat. So
and again, I might be mixing my numbers, but I believe either right now or soon within the next Collider update.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be moving from the Unity engine that only uses one CPU core and moving to multi-core Unity. So, VR chat will actually start utilizing your PC better once we get to the new Unity. We might be in it, or we might not be.
All depends. Just got to keep an eye out for them updates here and there. So there's that.
Oh yeah.
So there's that.
Like everything that goes on these days, it's just something to keep an eye out for.
Oh yeah, most definitely, I am. So, allow me to toss you a interesting curveball your way. Now, when I say curveball for this, is because everybody's gonna have a different answer to this, no matter what it is or so. But it's always under this one topic. Let's talk about anime.
Alrighty, let's go.
Now, there's a 3-part question to this. My first question on hand is, when I say the word anime, what is the first series or movie that comes to your mind?
First 2 primary series that come up, Sword Art Online because it was the first one, that's what got me into anime, and Demon Slayer because that's what I'm watching most recently.
I got you on hand.
Oh yeah.
I find it interesting too, just because when you mentioned Sword Art Online, because I sat down and was watched this with with an old friend of mine or so. That was a long time ago, but it's like it got stopped at like the what is it? Alice Kate? I can't.
Yeah, the like Alice.
I know what it is. It's
so,
just I can't pronounce it.
Alicization.
That's what it is.
Alicization arc.
Yep, that's what it is. Yeah, it pretty much stopped. I pretty much stopped right there, so I haven't really picked it up yet because I've been busy with everything else. But I have not actually got a chance to watch Demon Slayer because I've not sat down and done much with it. But those are 2 good animes to at least sit down and just kind of like be introduced to. So.
Yeah, and the first few episodes of Demon Slayer are a little rough, but honestly, they're all like the quality so vastly picks up, and it shows like in the writing and how it's animated and such.
No, I got you on hand. I got you. So my second part question to this is, if you ever had a top 3 or top 5 anime series or movies, it could be either or in this list, which what would those be?
I'm gonna keep it simple, keep it top 3.
Go right ahead.
Sword Art Online, again, it's what introduced me to all anime. Second one is actually going to be Ruby. I know some people don't consider that an anime, but it's what introduced me to a lot of different fighting styles and ways of animating. And, last one's actually going to be Soul Eater. Just because it was one it's one of the last series I watched with both my older brothers and my older sister. So it kind of holds that special place in my heart of like, not like we don't talk anymore, but like, just kind of what used to be. Like, the memories we shared together.
Yeah, there you go. And that's understandable. That's definitely understandable on hand.
Yeah.
And my final question to that topic is, what is the anime, be it series or movie, that hits you close to home? Like, when you watch it, you relate to it hard because it feels like it's something, it feels like it's speaking to you.
Damn, actually, let me think about this.
Yeah, all good.
Again, I totally don't mean to be like repeating this answer
It's
over
all
and
good.
over again, and this is gonna sound so edgy, but like, Sword Art Online hits me home because I don't want people to be affected by my life. Like, I want to make people happy, but if something happens like where I dislocate a shoulder or I get hurt in a way that I don't expect, I don't want that to negatively impact people. And unfortunately, you can't really have one without the other, but it's kind of been my, like, not driving force, which is kind of how I lived my life of, like, I want to be strong, so I don't accidentally bring someone down with me. I don't want to accidentally say to someone who's already having a really bad day that this happened and it sends them into a depression, because that's just not what I want to do. That's the exact opposite of what I want to do with my life. And sometimes it happens and it sucks, but gotta do your best to help everyone.
Yeah. No, I got you. I got you on hand. I will say for the most part, too, that when it comes down to it, especially, anybody in the world can be strong in their own right, depending on what it is or so. It's a matter of a fallen quote. Now, there's a quote someone mentioned a long time ago, and I'm pretty sure it might apply to you on here, especially for what your desire of what you want to be as you continue to grow as a human being. But there's a quote, and it came from one Peter Cullen, mostly from his brother or so, who basically voiced Optimus Prime. Basically, he said, "Be strong enough to be gentle." And usually understand, no matter how strong you are or so, as long as you have gentle hands to know that you can be able to care for people, no matter who it is or so, it will stand the test of time that, you have full control over what you want to be and be in control of who you want to be as time goes by.
Oh yeah, no, that definitely makes sense.
So, but this is getting me down to my last question, and I'm going to grab this camera here and I'm going to move it right over to you really quickly. And let me do this real quick.
Wait.
Let me make sure this is lined up. There we go. A little bit. There we go. So my question for you is this. What are your goals and dreams? And at best, what is the best advice you could ever give to anybody? I'm going to let you have center stage for this.
Alright. Obviously, my goal is to just make this world a better place. If I can lay on my deathbed and think about more times that I did good than the times I did bad, I'll count it as a good life. And kind of the best advice I can offer is just do what feels best for you. Like, obviously don't go rob a bank as much as some of us would love to. But do what makes you happy, but don't be afraid to see what the rest of the world has to offer. There are 100 experiences I would have missed out if I had said no to certain things. And I dread the day that I ever say no to an experience like that. If I had spoken with Oblivious and said no, I would have never met Heavy, I would have never met my husband, all of my brothers and sisters, my friends, my family. And that scares me. So don't worry about like the yes or no. Just say yes and kind of figure it out as you go. And that's kind of all I gotta say for my advice.
Alrighty. I got you on hand. And I will say, and this is pretty much, it's the truth of it all, too, because keep in mind, no matter what it is or so, I will tell you that dreams and goals, no matter what it is or so, it'll take a lot of time and patience to get to them on hand. And usually, it's kind of like putting your nose to the grindstone, just be able to try to like get there little by little. And usually when it comes down to it or so, it will become that test of patience to you. So sometimes, your patience will get wither at times here and there. Sometimes you will lose your cool.
There are definitely days, yeah.
Sometimes you will lose your cool just because of a lot of things on hand that normally, especially when it's just like out of your own control. Especially when you're normally able to do this on hand, and then for some reason, life throws a monkey wrench into the gears of things. And the one thing I will tell you on hand is, no matter how long it takes or so, whatever, be it your goals and dreams, no matter what it takes, or so. Just know, keep your head held high, hold on to them, for they are what will bring you to better places on hand. And pretty much the words I kind of live by on my own being: be determined, be persistent, be patient, and you'll see everything through the end. And also, be yourself.
Yeah. Oh yeah, most important part.
Yeah, be yourself, no matter what. And don't let temptation change you. That's the thing. Never let it change you. So, but before we go, guys, and before we end the interview on hand, I will ask anybody in chat. Does anybody have any questions for Serilda here? Any questions you would like to ask him on hand?
I'm more than happy to ask.
Yeah.
Answer questions.
Yep. While I'm waiting in chat for any questions on hand, I would like to ask you on hand. I will ask you this: your name, Serilda, where did it come from?
It actually it's a German name, and ironically comes from the original concept of her, which is a battle maid, or battle maid. I originally was going to make this character with a maid outfit and straight up a 6-barreled machine gun. That was the entire start of Serilda, and everything, I don't want to say it devolved, but like, it stumbled. It stumbled from that to a soldier, to eventually to the fusion form that she is today.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, the original is just Battle Maiden.
I see on hand. Oh, that's right. Cool and Nate usually has a question that he usually asks everybody on hand, but I'll go and ask him for you because he's not here right now. But I will ask you, if you ever had to give a title to a game as being the greatest game, be it the greatest game to ever be made, what game would that be?
Ooh. There's so many good ones. I'm not gonna say Destiny because people are gonna burn me at the stake for that. But it's an old game for the Xbox 360. It's a game called Heroes Over Europe. It's what got me into a lot of my flying stuff. It's a great game, great controls, and great story to it. Unfortunately, there's nobody who uses the multiplayer, but personally, I just love it.
I got you on hand. I got you for the most part.
Yeah.
Trying to see here. Like I said, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask on hand. I do have one more question I was going to ask you. Now,
of course,
for the fish avatar on hand that you have, that I've seen in like Soul Resonance RP, was that inspired from Brim, as well as Mary? What's her name? Maria. Bara. There it is.
So ironically enough, yes, it is. It's the same fins and everything, same character concept. Out of character, Brim isn't kind of. She is my VRC mom, and I don't want to say I made the character as like an homage, but like almost as a character to match hers.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so yes, Ova the character is inspired from Brim. Yeah.
No, I got you. I kind of figured it on here because usually when I see somebody that's like a fish avatar or so, immediately the first person that pops in my mind, because they were the ones who kind of like started that, not trend or so, but started that kind of like design, if you will, avatar design of it, that being Brim. So I usually think of that.
I think in terms of I think in terms of the metaverse, I don't know outside of it. Brim made the Naiads. The Naiads is all her lore, for at least metaverse. That is all hers. I think it is an original concept by her. I don't know. But to my understanding, it's not completely original. I know they're like Undyne from Undertale, but it's very original.
Mm-hmm. No, I got you. Ian. And trust me, when it comes to, I'm just gonna put it out there, when it comes to like ages, so they put like a lot of time in lore on hand when it comes to like fine tuning it and just trying to make sure it makes all logical sense and how it fits and everything.
Aegis does a stunning job with their lore and keeping everything consistent. I know now, and even in the early days, Skullmancer was a massive part of that. But yeah, no, they do an amazing job with all their lore. They keep it super consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I feel you. I definitely feel you. I don't seem to have any more questions to ask you on hand, for the most part, but I will say this for right now.
It is all good.
Yep, I'll say this for right now. That will be episode 75 of Shoot the Breeze.